Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. How's everyone doing? I know I have been very inconsistent with my uploads as of late, so I figured it's time to do a little bit of an update kind of state of the channel video, especially as the Overwatch esports scene transitions from one thing, the Overwatch League, to another thing, the Overwatch Champions Series. I think it's time as well for this channel to also undergo some transitions and changes as well, and so I want to talk about that. As well as some other things that I just want to talk about to kind of explain some of what has been going on in my life and why content has been so infrequent. So I'm going to break this video into three kind of sections. I'll put the timestamps for when I'm on each of those sections in the description. I don't know how long it's going to be, but I figured I would at least give you the main topics that we're going to talk about. So I'm going to start off with where I've been, what I've been doing, why I haven't been uploading as much. I've talked about it a bit in some videos, but I figured it's better just to put it right here and just be very clear and open about it so you guys understand why I haven't been uploading. Part 2 of it is going to be talking about kind of the direction I want to take the channel as we move into the OWCS and the way that I want to change and prioritize content as we go into a new system. And then the third part is going to be a little bit more kind of personal, introspective, kind of reflecting on YouTube and the YouTube experience for the past 5 years that I've been uploading. It's been more than 5 years, but specifically the past 5 years, the 2019 Overwatch League season when I really started doing regular Overwatch League content, and then obviously carrying that over through 2020, through 2021, 22, and 23. So those are the three parts I'm going to talk about in this video. So let's go and let's talk about the first thing, which is about where I have been. Now, I talked about it a little bit in my video talking about the OWCS announcement, but there's a couple things. So let's start with the one that affects everybody in the space and in the scene, which is after BlizzCon and up until the announcement of the OWCS, there was pretty much nothing going on. It was a very dead off-season, and that's usually the case in the Overwatch League, but of course, with the transition away from the Overwatch League, it was even more so the case. And so there wasn't really a lot going on that I felt like was worth talking about. And every year, really, since 2020, I took a bit of a step back during the off-season from uploading content, especially like immediately following the end of the season through like the beginning of the year, because the season would end in like late October, early November. Sometimes there's BlizzCon. The past few years there hasn't been up until last year. And then he was kind of like waiting for the roster announcements to come. They usually happen like late December, early January, and then start ramping up the content, preparing for the season to start. So I always kind of took a step back. This year, just very different because there was really nothing going on and there was no direction until very recently of us to know kind of what to expect for the future of the scene. So that was a big, arguably the biggest contributing factor. There wasn't really anything that I felt like I needed to talk about in videos. And sometimes in like previous off seasons, I would maybe make a video every so often just to talk about something. I stopped doing those Battle Pass videos a few seasons ago. People didn't really care about them or watch them, so I figured why bother with that. And the Mauga video I made obviously back around BlizzCon when the demo was available for him, so things are a little different in that regard. So, stuff like that came up and was part of why I didn't do it. The other thing, the bigger thing, which is less Overwatch related, more just like kind of personal life related. It's a very busy time of year, right? End of the year, you have Thanksgiving here in the States, you have Christmas and the other holiday seasons, so with that, I was very busy with work, just lots of people, lots of things going on, so that really played a big part of it. I also am a huge NFL fan, if you are not aware. If you follow me on Twitter, or at least that's what I'm going to keep calling it, you would probably know that. I'm a fan of a team that did very well this year, though not as well as I would have liked, considering they are not playing in the Super Bowl, but I digress. And so, I really enjoyed having that time to just kind of sit down on Sundays and watch football. It's just a fun thing for me, and it's a big part of what I like to do. So when the Overwatch League isn't on, and I can just kind of really get in and dive in and fully focus on watching football for the few months that it's on, I really do just love football a lot. So that was part of it as well. So those kind of factors all kind of compound on each other. Holidays and work and not a lot going on in the Overwatch esports scene, and just watching football and gaming. I have been gaming quite a lot lately. I mentioned it in the OWCS video, but I have a very big problem with gaming, and I'll talk about it more later, but I really struggle to sit down and play games, and in particular, I found that I struggled to do it, especially when I was making content. When I was trying to balance like work and making YouTube videos and keeping up with the Overwatch League, and then try to also play video games, something has to get cut out there. Something has to take a back seat. And so usually I prioritized doing the Overwatch League and the YouTube content, so that gaming kind of took a back seat. I would play a little bit of Overwatch every so often, just to kind of grind up the battle pass and all that type of stuff. But really that was about it. And so with the break in making content, I really started to just game a lot more. Not just Overwatch. I still play Overwatch a lot, but I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3, which is amazing. One game of the year for a reason. It's phenomenal. And pretty much every day that I have free time, I sit down and play copious amounts of Baldur's Gate 3. And it's been just nice to just kind of get lost in a game for the first time in a while. I have not had this kind of just like, I haven't been this enraptured or enthralled by a game probably since I played Fire Emblem Three Houses in 2019, which is probably my all-time favorite game. So we're talking about a very, like, a game that really just kind of captured me, and I just want to play it a lot. So I do kind of try to prioritize that, and this break in content has been good to at least kind of help me game a little bit, which is always nice, and I just think it's a good thing for me to take a little break from some of my hobbies to go enjoy a different one. So that's where I've been. Nothing really dramatic or serious, just there hasn't really been a lot to talk about. There hasn't really been a lot of reason for me to be spending a lot of time putting content out, in my opinion. So I haven't been, and that is where we are now. But that is the past. Let's now talk about some of the plans that I want to get into for the future of the channel as we move into OWCS content. Obviously, with the Overwatch League, I did a lot of stuff. I did content every single week, several videos a week, all about the Overwatch League. I did my picks, I did my recaps, I did all that type of stuff. I did the roster breakdown videos going into the season. Every single team got their own video. I loved doing that kind of content. I loved the roster breakdowns a lot, and I loved doing like picks every week and keeping track of them and following them. Like, that to me was really, really fun. I loved doing it. The OWCS format is most likely not going to really allow for that to be the style of content that I make. And I'll be honest with you, that is absolutely for the best. I think that content was very draining. It made me feel like I have to keep up and watch every single game. If I had to go to work when there were games going on, or I wanted to hang out with friends or do something outside of it, I sometimes felt like I'm going to miss out on something that happens. I'm going to feel like it's going to really affect my ability to make content. And so I think moving into a format that is going to be more centralized, kind of smaller or bigger events that take place over a shorter amount of time, I think is going to be a better format. And I think it allows me to be a little more free with how I make the content. And I think that will hopefully result in better videos. There were times where I felt like the content I was putting out was really just kind of like, it ended up being more just like an assembly line as opposed to kind of a passion project. And so that's part of what I'm planning on doing is prioritizing content on the OWCS that I want to make more, that interests me more, that I find more kind of exciting, than it is trying to get out several videos a week. Because sometimes you just run out of ideas and you just don't have a third video you want to make, so you just kind of make up some random thing that you don't really care about. And I want to try to avoid doing that. So probably fewer videos every week. The format obviously is a lot more kind of restrictive in terms of like the amount of time that is going on in between stages, right? So you have like the round robin, and then you have the group stage, and then you have the bracket. So most likely my plan is to just talk about the games as we go into the group stage, right? So the 16 teams in North America and Europe go into the group stage. APAC obviously has its own format. It's a little bit different. But generally speaking, kind of just talk about the teams that go into the group stage once we know who they are, once they've played through the round robin or the Swiss bracket, whatever it's called. And they play all the teams. Just then go in and say, okay, here's our top 16 teams. Let's look at them. Let's look at how they performed in the Swiss. Let's look at who's on their team. And instead of doing videos for every single roster, just one video looking at everything. So the videos might be a little bit longer than they were in the past, but I'm going to try to prioritize kind of looking at things more infrequently in terms of like the number of videos, but hopefully they'll be better as a result, just kind of focusing more on the things that I think should be focused on, which I think is always a big thing. I also just want to say that probably early on, there will be a much heavier focus on NA content. I don't know if I realistically have the schedule and time to be able to keep up as close as I did with the Overwatch League across both NA and APAC going forward. So I will probably just prioritize North America and really make sure that North America is the one that I'm following more closely. I'm not going to ignore EMEA. I'm not going to ignore Asia, but I do think it's important to prioritize the one that is going to be the easiest for me to follow and really kind of learn and understand more. And so that is going to be my goal. Like I said, doesn't mean I'm going to ignore the other regions. I'm just going to prioritize the one that is just the easiest for me to follow and get a hold of. And so that's most likely the thing there. With that, I will have more kind of concrete types of things as we actually get into the WCS. Like I said, we don't have matches yet. We don't have rosters fully yet. We have some looks at some of the rosters, especially in Asia. Like Hamster wants to stay together. We got the roster with Belisria and Bernard announced that I'm drawing blanks on the name. Built for Gamers, I think. Something like that. So there's stuff coming out, and so we're getting at least some kind of concrete looks about what's going on. But it'll be interesting, I think, to kind of try to build the identity of the channel going forward as the esport is also building its identity going forward. That is something I'm actually like really looking forward to, is approaching it in a different way of saying like, I didn't get in on the ground floor with content back in the day when Overwatch esports first really kind of got founded back in 2015, 2016. Obviously, I didn't make content until 2018. So even like I didn't get in at the beginning of the Overwatch League. I kind of jumped in early, but not at the beginning. So I'm excited to kind of get in as we get into the beginning of this new era of Overwatch esports and get into this new kind of direction for things. It'll be interesting to kind of get to see where we as a community and as a fan base can really kind of drive the content for this esport and drive just the overall kind of community sentiment towards this esport. So I'm very excited, and I'm really, really interested in kind of seeing where things go. But I still do have a love forever for the Overwatch League, and I do still have some content that I have been wanting to make on the Overwatch League. I just haven't had the motivation to really get them out. Partially, it's felt like the kind of thing where I had this video idea, but then I was like, but it's been so long, people don't care about the Overwatch League anymore. So I do have some videos on the Overwatch League that I would like to work on if the interest is there from people. Stuff like my favorite Overwatch League moments or memories, kind of a top 10 video, just kind of talking about some of the things that really stood out to me the most as some of just the best and favorite moments. I do want to do one final video of my favorite player ever from every team, an ATP Overwatch style video. Stuff like that. I do still have kind of some of those I would like to make. And so I'll try to get those out hopefully before OWCS really kicks off. Maybe at least one of those. If people want them, I'll get them out as quickly as I can. If people want those even when OWCS is still, really going, that's another conversation. But there are some things from OWL that I would like to get out, just kind of as final love letters to the league. Specifically those two, though, like favorite players from every team and favorite moments, I think would just be good kind of bookends to the Overwatch League story and my videos on it. So that's kind of the future for content on this channel, generally speaking. It's tough to really nail anything down right now, but I figured it was better to at least let you know kind of where my head is at. I did say at the end of the 2023 season that I wasn't going anywhere, and so I at least want to give you some ideas on where my head is at right now going forward into the future of the esport and where things are going from here on out. So finally, now the final little bit of this update is reflecting a bit on YouTube over the past 5 years. Like I said, a little more personal, introspective kind of moment here, kind of topic. I think it's really interesting to look at what YouTube has become. And I think some of this really is kind of the amount of YouTubers that I watched growing up, or just that I'm aware of, who have retired or cut back on content. People like Tom Scott, people like Matt Pat, who have really kind of changed. Even like Jenna Marble several years ago, right? Like a bunch of people on YouTube have really changed and have started to kind of transition away as they've gotten older, and they've decided to kind of take different directions in their lives, whether it be behind the camera or whether just being completely away from the camera. It's interesting to see, and I think I've really had kind of a lot of reflection and kind of realization of like, I like YouTube, I like making content, I enjoy it. The more time I spend with it, the more I realize I don't really want it to be a job. I don't want it to be a profession. I don't want it to be something that I rely on to have to make a living. It's super finicky. It's very unreliable. Ad money is a very fickle mistress. The platform is very kind of moody. It changes a lot. You're really at the whim of an algorithm. And I think when you stress over that kind of stuff and you have to really kind of hone in on that kind of stuff, it really just hurts. There's some creators who I follow and I see them post on social media, and like you'll see them put, they'll post and they'll go, this video isn't doing well, I gotta change the thumbnail, and you'll go to a video and you'll see, like, you watch it when it comes out, and then 2 hours later you see it's got a different title, different thumbnail, and you're like, wait a second, I just watched this video when I don't remember it being this. And so it's those kinds of things where when you have to rely on it, you have to really kind of focus on it. It's just like, it's very stressful. And I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of lazy, right? Like, I am way too lazy to be a YouTuber full-time as my job. It just doesn't scratch the itch that it used to. It still scratches an itch. It's just a different kind of itch. And I don't really view it as a thing that I need to do for the rest of my life. I'll do it until I don't want to do it anymore. And that's kind of how I look at it. And I think that is really been something that I've thought about, especially as I've gamed more and just kind of spent more time prioritizing myself and my personal life and getting away from the computer to make videos all the time. Like, I find that I am spending less time at my desk. I find that, like, I'm way more, like, open to just, like, do stuff and just, like, drop whatever I'm doing and go and do more things. And And I just feel like my time feels much more valuable now. I feel like I have more of it. I feel like my time feels just like way more fluid and open, and I just don't feel the same stresses that I did sometimes when I was trying to get content out. And coming home from work, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, but I have to get a video ready for tomorrow. I'm running off of 4 hours of sleep. I'm miserable, but I gotta get this video out, and then the video is terrible quality and all that type of stuff. Like, it's not worth it, right? It really just isn't worth it. Like, spending more time getting the videos right, getting them kind of where you want them, spending less time grinding and like hurting my own mental health and physical health to get a video out. Yeah, probably better, honestly. And the older I get, not that I'm old, but the older I get, the more important it's going to be to prioritize things away from this. And that's something I've thought about quite a lot. And I think that viewing YouTube fully as a hobby that I do when I want to, and feeling like I'm not going to upload all the time because I have to, is going to be nice. And I think it will result in better content. I hope it results in videos you guys like better, that you enjoy more, because that to me is really the thing that I've felt like for a little while, that I would put out a video and I was like, I really don't think this is a good video, but I got to get it out. And when you're kind of just treading water all the time and things don't really change that much, yeah, it's not that fun. It's not that exciting. But I do think I want to kind of try to find a way to marry some of my desires to do other things and also create content. I have been talking for years and years that I need to get a new PC that is stronger and more powerful and capable of really actually streaming. And I'm at a point now where I actually can. So I am hopefully, I do have a trip coming up that I'm saving up for, but hopefully I'll kind of have a better idea of where my finances are at in the next couple months. And I can get a nice PC that I can game with more powerfully and also stream. And I'd like to do some streaming. I don't think I have any plans on streaming Overwatch. Not really. Maybe like story missions when those continue to come out. And maybe like occasionally, an event or something like that. Stream Overwatch. But I want to stream all the other games I have. I have a huge backlog of games. I have a whiteboard next to my computer that I'm recording on right now that I have a list of games that I need to beat. One of which is Baldur's Gate 3. That is on the list, and I'm almost through that one. But like a bunch of games, all of them but one I own already. One of them I need to buy because it's the new Zelda game from last year that I still have not played, and a bunch of other games that like I've started and not beaten, or just I bought and I don't have not found the time to beat them yet. So that's something I'd like to do. So I'm hoping that's something I could do, but I don't know. It's all very much just kind of stuff I'm thinking about. So I'd like to do. I think the way that content has changed so much over the years, and the way that the platform has changed so much over the years, I'm really just kind of interested in just experimenting things and not feeling like I have a lot of like things to live up to, or things that I'm like trying to do that I did before. Yeah, it's an odd thing to look at, and how YouTube has evolved. It's just wild, And I think it's one of those things where I feel like YouTube is such a great platform for so many reasons as a consumer, but when you are on it, it is a wild ride. It is weird. It is odd. And it's something that I love it. I want to keep doing YouTube. I want to keep enjoying YouTube. I want to keep using YouTube. I want to keep being someone who does put stuff out on this platform, but not as much as I used to, at least not the numbers, but rather trying to get out a lot of kind of just better content. So that's it for this. I know there's just a lot of rambling and talking and basically saying a whole lot of nothing. But I figured I'd let you guys in a little bit into the mind of the person behind the channel. Just to give you guys a little bit of an update on what's been going on. So if you watch this whole video, thank you. Thank you for your support over the past several months, over the past year, 2 years, 3 years, however long you've been around. This has been such a fun ride, and I do not regret any of what I have done on this channel. But I'm excited to kind of take it in a bit of a fresh direction with the change of direction for Overwatch Esports. I think it's a good thing to take it for a change of direction in the channel. So thank you once again. Comment whatever you want in the comments down below. I don't really, you know what, let's just talk, you know. Have you played Baldur's Gate 3? Have you played any other games from the past year that you really liked? Or just a game you played recently that you thought was really fun and you want to talk about it? I don't know. I don't care. Tell me down below. Whatever. I'd like to hear from you down there. If you enjoyed this video and want more in the future, consider liking and subscribing. Your support does help out with the channel. That's all for today. Thank you all once again. Hope you're all staying safe and staying healthy. And until next time, bye-bye.